Good evening, buddies. Punarvas Jayakumar here from Advait Learning. This lockdown, day 7 of lockdown, and it's very funny that I've never used to get the time to even come and spend some time at home before, and now all of a sudden I've where I can just spend time with my family, read up something, and watch something. So I've been watching some very interesting documentaries on Netflix and your other providers, and I just chanced upon the Vietnam War. I was watching about Vietnam War, and one thing led to the other, and I started reading out about the Vietnam War. I visited Vietnam last year. It's a wonderful country, wonderful, amazing, warm, hospitable people. Made a lot of friends also in Vietnam. I still am in touch with all those people. And there also, when I had gone, I had heard about the history of Vietnam and what happened before. Uh, it's very interesting. Sometime when you get the time, you can read it. But then I chanced upon this US soldier who obviously fought in the Vietnam War called Charlie Plum. So today I'm going to talk about Charlie Plum. Charlie Plum, is an incredible guy. He was a decorated US war veteran. He was a Navy fighter pilot. He was a fabulous example of the indomitable human spirit. You may not have heard of him, and even I heard of him very recently. But he's just the kind of hero we all fantasize about as little kids. And his life story actually makes for a fascinating read. You can check it out. Charlie Plum, Plumb. So he flew the F-4 Phantom fighter aircraft on 74 successful combat missions over North Vietnam. 74, think about it. And with 5 days to go for him to return home, just 5 days. On his 75th mission, disaster struck. His plane actually was shot down. Luckily, Captain Plum just managed to eject out of the aircraft and activate his parachute. So with his parachute, he just came down. He saved his life. Otherwise, he would have been a goner. So unluckily for him, unfortunately, he was captured and jailed. Just like our Wing Commander Abhinandan, he was also captured and jailed. But thankfully, Wing Commander Abhinandan came back. But this guy was confined to a tiny cell, 8 feet by 8 feet, very tiny cell. And he spent the next 2,103 days, 2103. Think about it, guys. That is 6 long years. He was tortured, humiliated as a prisoner before he could finally return home. He spent 6 years in jail. Charlie now, spends time sharing his story with others, helping other people discover challenges, overcoming fear, loneliness, and all those things. He still talks about the stench that came from the toilet, the bucket that actually served as a toilet. There was no toilet also, there was just a bucket. And, the stench and the unbearable gloom there, the darkness in the cell. Talks about surviving and, not letting the spirit take a beating, of never ever giving up. But the story that I'm going to talk to you about, apart from this, is what happened around 5-6 years later. After 5-6 years after he came back, he was just enjoying a very silent meal in one of the restaurants in US. Suddenly there was a man who was just staring at him for a few tables away. He noticed because Charlie Plum became little uncomfortable because this guy was staring at him. Now imagine you're eating peacefully and somebody's staring at you, right? So a few minutes later, that gentleman came to Charlie Plum and said, "Hey, aren't you Mr. Charlie Plum?" Charlie said, "Yes, I am Charlie Plum." He stood up and he just extended his arm to, shake his hand. That other gentleman said, "Did you not fly, fighter jets in Vietnam? You were the one on the aircraft called Kitty Hawk. That was the aircraft name. You were shot down. You parachuted into enemy territory. You were captured there. You spent 6 years as a prisoner of war. Aren't you that Charlie Plum?" Charlie Plum said, "Yes, but how the hell do you know all this? I mean, how come you know? Even you're my age, I think so. How do you know all this? Did we fight together sometime?" That's what he asked. So that other guy replied one line. He said, "I was the guy who packed your parachute." Think about it, guys. He was the guy who packed the parachute, which actually saved him. And he just winked at him and said, "I guess it worked, right? Because you're alive." Captain Plum was taken aback and he just thanked him profusely. And that night he could not sleep. He could not sleep at all because he was thinking how many times he may have passed by that parachute packer without even acknowledging his presence, right? He wondered if he ever said good morning, good evening, how are you, who are you, anything. We may not all be fighter pilots, guys, but we have our parachute packers who build our safety nets, who encourage us in their own small ways, right? Make our successes possible. They remain unsung heroes, but somewhere inside, they actually made a difference. It could be that teacher from primary school, that salesman in a faraway town who came to you and you sold something and it actually worked for you, or small workman in the factory, that efficient secretary or an accounts clerk, your employee, your boss, your co-article, your parents, most importantly, right? It's like the entire family doing CA, right? You are saying that I have to study now, I have to do this, I have to do that. Just think about how much your parents have sacrificed for you. They are your parachute packers. They gear you up for life's challenges through the takeoffs, the crash landings, everything. When the going is not going, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, they say. But how will the tough get going? Obviously, because of these parachute packers. So it's a very, very important thing that you need to pause and say thank you to your parachute packers. It's also a very, very good idea to ask this question: whose parachute are you packing? Who are the people you provide strength and encouragement to? Which people will put your name in the list of folks who made a difference in their lives, right? Real success and happiness is this, not, earning money by selling pen drives, by video classes, by real happiness is this: to how many people's lives did you make a difference? And even for you, for me, I'm talking about, for me, it's not that how many sales I made in a day and all that is secondary. Of course, that is my bread and butter, but that is secondary. But ultimately, how many lives are you changing? Are you affecting? Have you made a positive impact? Now, all these audio clips that I'm doing, it may reach 200 people, 300 people, 1,000 people. I'll be happy if just one person would make use of this. And even if it helps just one person, I'll be the most happiest person in my life. So today, think about it, guys. You need to have the Charlie Plum's trait. First, you need to write down your parachute packers. How many people have packed your parachute so you can fly? Second thing, whose parachute are you packing? Write that down. For the ones that you are packing, don't do anything about it. But for the people who have packed your parachute, I think today is the day to just say thank you. They'll feel nice. Have you ever thanked your parents? Just go hug them. Or if you're not too close, where you can go hug like that, just say thank you. Just do something nice for them today, or anybody. So today is the day to thank your parachute packers. With this, I end my today's audio session. So please jot down your parachute packers, and also jot down how many people whose parachutes you are packing. How many times you have lent an ear to some friend who really wanted your help? How many times you have been there for somebody else? How many times you have done those small, small things that have gone a long way in helping people? You will also feel very positive about yourself, actually, that sometimes you feel, right, I'm worthless, I don't know what I'm doing here. Other people depend on you, friends, and you depend on others. Please thank the ones who you depend on, because they are your parachute packers. Without that, you will just do a crash landing and you will die. All right. Thank you so much. Love you all. Cheers.